And I was muted. Hey, y'all. Hey, this is Ann with Andale Homestead.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. It is Cayce over at Ormsby Farms.
And I'm Monica at Bland's Promised Land Ranch. So tonight we are talking about the tariffs and how
Dun, dun,
to beat
dun.
the tariffs and what are some of the ways we're doing it. And I'm super excited because I can share one way that I beat the tariffs today. And I'm really proud of myself. But before we get into all the stuff that we want to share from our podcast episode that came out yesterday, we're going to throw it to Miss Ann to say hello to everybody that's coming into the chat.
Yes, thank you, Jackie C. I'm glad you caught us this week too, honey. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Penny Ortiz. Hadu, I'm so glad you're here, sweetie. What about Bob? Hey, Bob, Robin Hood Homestead. Thank you for being here. There's our Eric. Good. Hey, Lynette Lawrence. How are you, honey? I'm glad you're here. And then it all adds up with Laurie. Hey, y'all. Hey, peace. She says peace a lot. I love it. Dawn Hartwell. Hey, y'all. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Ginger. Well, hey, Sugar. Not for Nothing Homestead. That's Ginger with Not for Nothing Homestead. Two Doves, Bees, and Gardens. I do. So glad you're here. And Jesse's girl at Lazy Days Ahead. They're on an adventure this week. I'm so excited for them. And the actual Lazy Days Ahead with Jesse and Lisa. And they're going to have a big week this week. Y'all need to stay tuned to them. U.S. Freedom 5. What's up? As Eric says, why? So Jesse says, hello, everybody. Now, what we're talking about tonight is we have all noticed, and in the news, and hey, makeup, mom and son, in the news, and my other YouTube friends and things, there's an issue of kind of sort of a little panic going on with all this tariff information and tariff news, and we wanted to share with you to how to cool it down a little bit, slow our jets a little tiny bit, and how to maybe think a little bit out of the box, or maybe back in the box way back then. So, Monica, you had shared that you got yourself around the tariffs today. How did that happen?
I did. Okay. So for a long time, first of all, y'all know I have lots of kids, have a big family. I wash a lot of laundry. Okay. My washer has been trying to give up its last leg. It's been trying to completely give up its life. And it's been trying for months. It's to the point where when we like load the washer, because it's a big washer, but it's an older washer, where when it starts to wash, it like boom, 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 and then it walks itself in front of my door, so I can't actually. So we have to like walk it back. The whole front of it was literally duct taped on. When my friend came in October, she was like, "Girl, get a new washer," and I was like, "It still works," and she was like, "Just barely." So 3 days ago, now I've been looking for washers, guys, but something that's going to be good quality. It's going to be big enough for my family, and I need it to work well and last.
You need like 3.
Miss Ann, everything at these box stores are so expensive. I'm looking at $500, $600, $700, $800, and I don't need fancy. I just need bigger and solid, and it's going to wash and it's going to be solid. Guys, I saw on my Nextdoor app, because it's one of those things, the community apps, this lady was moving yesterday, and just as I needed it, because on Monday, what's today, Tuesday, on Sunday night, I realized that the top of my washer had finally rusted in. So when you open it, it would fall into the washer. It was bad, y'all.
Okay, that
Yesterday morning, this lady put up washer and dryer, $80. Come get it. I was like, can I just take the washer? She's like, no, honey, you take them both, or you don't. I was like, I'm coming. Where do you live? How soon can I get there? She was like, I will text you when I get home. I loaded up my 2 boys, my teenagers. We rolled out. We went and got it. And I paid $80 for a washer dryer set. But here's the best part. Not only did I beat the tariffs, but I turned around and sold the dryer, which I didn't need, for $50 today. So I only spent $30 on a new washer that works like butter. I mean, like I loaded that thing up. I was like, it doesn't walk. It doesn't scream at me. The whole tub isn't like the thump, the thump. It is miraculous. It's beautiful.
That's the way to do it. That's the way
I
to
beat
do
it. I beat those box stores. And like I told the kids, I was like, look, guys, maybe it's a little smaller than our old one, but even if it isn't, I mean, even if it is, it still washes. And I am not going to have to put $700 out right now in something that I don't want to spend that kind of money. So yeah,
That's
I'm
right.
excited. So I was so excited.
Now,
Yes.
Ginger from Not For Nothing Homestead says, nah, I'm just not going to panic. I'm going to ride the wave for a bit. And then
Exactly.
Bob from Robin Hood Homestead said, I heard China caved and they opened a trade with the UK. Well, you know what? We're going to be just fine right over here, no matter what. And
Yep.
Jackie C says, I love the refurbished old washing machines. Hey, that's what I know. That's exactly what I know.
And
And
Cayce, normally I would buy parts for it. That's what we do for all of our stuff. One of the ways we talked about beating the tariffs is that you buy something and you use it until it dies, right? You use it until it's gone. And normally I would have done that, but when the lid is literally falling in, that's where we have a problem. Like
that's right.
The rust, it was rusted through completely. Yeah,
that's exactly right. That is where you have a problem.
Hers did her job. Her washed the clothes for many years.
She did.
Her time to meet Jesus. So
what's one of the ways you guys are beating the tariffs?
Cayce?
And I have officially started to buy all the stuff to make the homemade soaps. I know we talked about it on the podcast, which really, y'all that are listening know that we pre-shoot our episodes. We actually shot this one relatively recently.
Yes,
we wanted to get this episode out. So I've started doing that. So I haven't done it yet, but the goal is to do all of the soapy soaps and save that way. But I had to get a new microphone, so I had to cave into the tariffs and buy a new microphone.
Well, you know what? It hasn't. We're not paying for them yet.
No.
But I wanted to welcome in Eric as well. We are treated with his company. And Eric, what is your take on all these things, the fear that is going on with the tariffs that could possibly affect us in the United States?
Yeah, I think that it's a very real thing. And whoever the gentleman was that was saying that China was kind of walking some things back, you know, you definitely hear some ups and downs, just like any other kind of political temperature that's out there in the world. You know, you just have to take it one day at a time and realize, I think on the podcast, it was mentioned that this too shall pass. This is one of those things, you know, but if we look at history and we look back at COVID, that was kind of the gauge. Because a lot of people, I think, they say they're prepared. They say they got this. They would be fine. But when the rubber met the road, the question is, what did you do? And so we had a pre-test with COVID.
Yeah.
So now, if it comes again, you know, what is our response going to be? And I think that if you just kind of, just like anything else in life, you set a plan, right?
Yeah.
When you get married with your husband, your wife, whoever it is, you sit down, you come up with a plan. You say, I don't want any kids. She says, I want 800, and then bada bing, we meet. So you come up with a plan.
It's not exactly how it went down.
Not exactly, no.
That's part of the story. Let's just roll with it. But I think that if you just plan and you prepare for that plan, and don't forget the history, don't forget what it was like for COVID, and be prepared. Don't wait to see if it does happen. Have your plan pulled together and ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, and that's good to say, to have the plan, because a lot of people will learn something and not follow through on it. Like our big thing was water. We learned that water catchment was our downfall.
Yeah.
And then we had the hurricane that came through for me and Ann, knocked out power and all that kind of stuff. And I had not followed through on water catchment. So Yes, it's good to learn, but remember what you learn and make plans going forward of how you're going to better that part of your learning.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. That's exactly right. Now, we have talked about this, and yes, there will be some parts of some things that are going to be harder to get, be able to receive in the United States. There'll be some rising of some prices. We've already been through that back in 2020. We have been through the craze.
Mhm.
If we can keep our heads about us and not go panic buying and there was a couple of things that Eric said, and I'll bring that up in just a second that I really appreciated last time. But I lived through the gas crisis back in the way back when. There was no gas crisis. It was just that our gas companies our gas filling stations couldn't fill every single car that was available to the tippy top every single day. So
Mhm.
they did have to ration odd numbers and even numbers every other day. You could go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, that type of thing. But Eric, you had mentioned something between a need and a want. And I wanted you to share that because that thought has really stuck with me.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the example we used on the podcast was back in the old days, you would order something and then you were patient and waited for it to come in. And now we've become so comfortable with just clicking a button that there is no wait time. And then, part of your decision making on purchasing things usually relies on when that thing is coming in. So if it's going to be like a month out, you're like, you know what? I don't need it that bad.
Mhm.
If
Right,
it's
that's right.
right, but if it's I can get it tomorrow, oh, okay, why not? Click the button, off
Yeah.
you go. And ironically, at work today, I was in discussion with a coworker, and it was pretty interesting because this person, I won't give up any information in case anybody comes into
Sure.
this, but it was interesting because this person was talking about this person's very trendy, so to purchase something before she could pay a little bit extra and get it the next day.
Mhm.
Now she's paying a little bit extra and it comes within 10 days.
Right.
And so, everything is kind of slowing down, which to me, a country boy at heart, I like the slowness working in the city. I prefer the
Mhm.
slowness, so sometimes you just have to ride the wave,
That's
accept,
right.
accept what's going on,
Yep.
and you make those decisions. What do I need? What do I want?
Yep.
And
hmm
make good decisions based upon that.
Yeah.
That's a need and a want. And we have become a society of whatever I want, then I might need it, kind of thing. And I really appreciated that because as a little girl, we got what we needed, not everything that we wanted.
Yeah.
And it is a slower pace of life, but you know what? We're strong, all of us. We're up for it. We're learning how to do things different. It's not slowness; it's just country speed. There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Paul
That's
Cayce,
so
Paul.
true.
I don't care. He says that's his new saying. Sorry, Paul. I do care. I do care. But there are some things that our little panel is trying to do to think maybe to try to beat the tariffs. Let's grow our own food. We're trying to grow more of our own groceries so
Mhm.
that we don't have to worry about things. I'm learning to make my own herbs and oils, and I just made some new sunscreen this week.
Ooh.
And I thought, gosh, all that stuff is American made. By the way, Monica, what is the link
Ooh.
that's like American something?
Yeah,
There's a
put her on the
way.
spot. Put her on the spot.
Okay,
Take
yeah,
it away. Yes, go.
there's a
Hold on.
way though, Casey, right? That in Amazon, we talked
Mhm.
about that.
It's US made,
Made in the USA only.
yeah, something like that. And then you can set it up to your Amazon
It's called
to where
Made in America store.
make it made in America store, and then
Made
you
in America
set it up
store.
through your Amazon where they only will show you the American made products, which was very cool. It's very
Yeah.
cool.
It is. Now, US Freedom 5 says the trick we use is if there's something you want on Amazon and it says it's a while out, put it in your cart. Of course, you
Mhm.
don't pay or commit like your watch list. And Amazon a lot of times will move that item closer. And that's very true. I mean, just myself ordering products this past week, I had one box of containers that was going to be here in 10 days and another box of containers that was going to be here in 3 days. Uh-oh, are we losing Eric?
No, the dog just walked in like she owned the place. She just comes slamming in there. She just opened the door wide open and came in.
That's good.
I've had enough. I'm out of here.
Yeah, so I picked, of course, I'm spoiled. I picked the one that's going to be here in 3 days and this week, that kind of thing. And Dawn Hart.
That is the good thing, US Freedom 5, even though my save for later list is really, really long.
Yeah, but I feel like once I put it in my save for later on the Amazon list, Amazon figures it out and then they start upcharging me. They're like, ooh, items in your later list have changed. And I'm like, and they're all like increased. And I'm like, I know you see what I'm doing. I know you see me. And then I don't want to buy it because it costs too much. And then I get mad.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, see, I mean, what I'm hoping that will happen and what the purpose of this is not only, I mean, it's not a bad thing, particularly. What we're trying to do is get back on an even keel with other countries. We don't want the U.S. paying $1,000 and another country paying 10. We want us all to pay somewhere in between there. Somewhere we're going to pay the same amount or something substantial like that.
And can I just say also, because we got a comment on the video on something that I had said. So I wanted to just kind of clarify for a minute.
Yeah.
I had said, and again, I researched this, that the tariffs are charged on the amount that the company pays for it. Right. And I used an example of Nike. Now, listen, those that are listening, I don't know the exact number of what people pay for Nikes. I was throwing that number out there. Yes, I know that they had labor on top of it. So they're not charging $200 on a $12 pair of shoes. I just wanted to put that out there that, yes, I wasn't born yesterday. I know there is labor costs that goes into all of it that the company adds, plus the tariffs. So I just wanted to put that out there. That thank you for your comment so very much. And I did know that. So thanks.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate anybody's comments. But what we're hoping, what I'm hoping, I'll just speak for myself, is that this will hopefully encourage some industry to come back to the United States of America. Our little local area used to be full of industry. We had shirt factories and material factories and cotton mill and the peanut mill and all these things. And it got so much cheaper to have everything overseas that we've lost all of our industry in our area, every bit of it. But speaking of industry, Eric, you had talked about speaking with one of your suppliers because your job is what?
I do maintenance type work on high-rise buildings.
Okay. And you talked to somebody about ordering some parts and they said, well, you got to have a plan. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, so again, it seems like the tide is ever changing. And, I mean, that's the hope. It's just make things fair across the board. And, but, it's one of those things like we talked about, needs and wants. And, when you begin to look at wants compared to needs, there's certain things that obviously you just really have to have. And we're in a place right now, especially in the United States, that it seems like there's a lot of foreign vehicles that are in the country. So you have to go outside the country to find the parts that you're getting. And then some of them are manufactured here in the States, but a lot of them are not. And so in order to find them, you really need to be able to kind of prepare what you may need. So, where you're purchasing things in the States because you can do that, because there's going to be some things that you're just going to have to go outside the country.
Sure.
And, the example that we used on the podcast was a particular item that we needed. If it were to be purchased now, it would be like 25% increase. I don't remember all the numbers right off the top of my head, But in October, the likelihood of that percentage would be moving up to, I think it was 400% or 800%, whatever it was.
I think you said 400%.
400%, which is astronomical, especially when you're not talking about $10. You're talking about $1 million.
Right.
So multiply $1 million by 400%, you can see the impact that's going to have.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, you just kind of got to figure out. And then unfortunately, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet. But I think that there can be something said that I think one of the comments earlier was that we've been spoiled. And I think that if we get to a place where things do go awry, then maybe consider not living exactly the way you live right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's kind of like the prepping thing, right? Like a lot of people prep to live the way that they live currently instead of prepping to survive.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And there's a difference. You have to take that into consideration.
Get goats for a compromise. Yeah. And also brought up a way to try to beat the tariffs is to learn to barter with your neighbors. And Monica, you had brought up something that Sandy had suggested at one time, which was like a neighborhood swap thing.
Yeah, we're not talking swamps though. We're not no swamp swaps. We're only swapping. So, you know, a lot of times you have things like Casey's a gadget guy. I know he's a gadget guy. And my mother-in-law is a gadget gal. She loves all the kitchen gadgets, but you know, you're not using all those gadgets all the time. And sometimes you put your gadgets in the closet or in the cabinet or whatever, and then they sit there and you don't use them. Well, maybe it's something where you can get together with some people that you know, your community, maybe some PTA friends, maybe some homeschool moms, maybe some people at work, whatever it is, get together and have a little gadget swap.
Right.
Get your kitchen stuff together and say, okay, I got a box full of gadgets. I'm not using them. I haven't used them in a year. Maybe that's when it's time to swap them out because, you know, maybe I don't have a cute little strawberry top popper offer. And Casey's not using his, although we know he is. But maybe Miss Ann's not been using hers, and
I actually got rid of it.
What? You've been using it? What are you even talking about?
No, I cut the stuff off. I just used a good old fashioned knife. But the good thing is, I am going to have Monica Bland go through all of my closets in the kitchen when she gets here, and I'm like, you can gadget.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going to gadget shop.
You're going to gadget shop because you're right. You see something, you're like, do I need all 3 sizes of the Instapot? Yes. Yes.
Now there's judgment. I don't think we need to talk about that. What I am saying. But yes, it's important to have the swaps. I think that's a great idea. But it doesn't have to go just with kitchen, right? It's all kinds of great things that maybe you have in your home. Maybe you're, you know, looking at your house and you're like, oh my word, I have a lot of things. There you go. Trash to treasure days. One person's trash, another person's treasure. You know, my mother-in-law is really great for that. She'll be cleaning out her stuff. And she's like, you know, I have like 3 extra comforters. I don't need these comforters. I need 2. And I'm like, I'll take them because I use that stuff for the farm. I use blankets and all kinds of, I keep that. Have like a stock of it because I don't feel any guilt now when there's an animal that's in trouble and I have an extra blanket that I throw over top of a cow. It gets pooped on and then I can just throw it away if I don't want to put it in my locker.
Right.
So it's one of those things that some people may really benefit from some of those things that you're looking to get rid of. So yeah, great.
In our neighborhood, there's not that many people that have chickens. And so we have eggs that we can barter. And I've bartered for some of my eggs for some of their preserves, you know, or some sourdough bread. One of our neighbors right down the street learned how to make sourdough bread, which I have not yet mastered, by the way. But
me either.
And so they came and brought us a loaf of their bread, and I was able to give them some eggs. And
I love that.
You know, that type of thing. I think that certainly is a very viable way of still being able to survive, even when prices go insane. We've been through this, y'all. We have already been through this.
Absolutely.
And the waters will calm as long as we stay calm, right?
One of the things I wanted to add to that, and you brought up the sourdough. I'll be honest with you. That's one of the things that I've been super impressed with. I was sitting here I was looking down, trying to find the term, and there's an economic term for it, and I can't remember what it's called. But when you have a product, or you have something that basically regenerates itself with very little or without any work being added to it. I want to say regenerative, but I know that's not the case. But
I mean, it could be.
anyway, sourdough is one of those things that I have found, because of the way that it multiplies, that Monica, with very little, I don't want to say very little effort, but very little material, if you will, to see the possibilities of it. This guy that I used to work with, we had, I don't want to say a contest, but it was basically between him and I, where we would bring it like, hey, my wife made discard pizza tonight. And then he would come in the next day. He's like, oh man, we tried discard pizza. My wife's making artisan bread tonight. I was like, oh, okay.
Ooh, okay. Competition.
So, you know, the interesting thing about that is that it has so many different uses. So ironically, I reached out to this guy the other day just to check on him. And then I kind of bragged a little bit and told him, I said, by the way, I don't know if your wife has tried making sourdough donuts, but you better watch out, because it's good enough to smack your mama.
Hot diggity.
A little friendly skill building competition there. It sounds like.
That's right.
But that's a way that you can beat what tariffs can bring.
Yes.
Even the cost of groceries as they go up. Although I did hear on the radio on the ride home that they decreased for the first time since 2020. So to hear that, you know, that maybe relief is on the way, but if it's not, then that's sourdough bread, sourdough.
Just skill building, though.
Can be used in so many different ways.
And there's great ways to skill build. Just like if you're planting those plants in your garden that are going to come back every year, right? If you've got, what are they? Are they annuals or perennials? Perennials that come back every year. You know, we talked about a few of our episodes before with what was her name? Slava. Yeah.
Yes.
We talked about planting perennials and having that garden that just regenerates itself each year, that will grow and offer you this perennial garden. If you start thinking in that type of way, skill building, perennial planting, and if you're like a perennial yourself, you're just going to come back bigger and beautiful every year, learning new skills.
Well, I think also we talk about self-sufficiency or community sufficiency, but that's kind of a way of beating the blues, if you want to call it. Because as Eric said, there's not much you have to put into sourdough. Once you have that good sourdough starter, which I have not yet gotten, you don't have to bulk buy, like me, 40, 50 pounds of yeast and hide it from the world, so they don't know that you're the one that bought everything off of Amazon. You got chickens too. You have a rooster. You have that one little extra thing. That's continuous chicken, eggs.
Yep, that's right.
Really, till the end of time.
Yep.
Bull, cat, or bull and heifer.
Yep.
Beef.
Right, and that's the thing that we've learned with processing our own animals, is you don't process all the animals on the same day.
Yeah.
Because you don't have room to store them.
And you stagger.
So the same thought process is, if you have sourdough, it's up in the cabinet. You don't even have to keep storing stuff or making stuff and putting it in the freezer. You just make it as you need it.
Right.
Yeah. Store it in the fridge. Don't put it in the cabinets. Keep it in the fridge, or it'll get
I don't do the sourdough.
You get a lot of hooch on it if you just store it in the cabinet. But there's things like that. You can make kombucha. You can have the ginger bug. I mean, look, Black's Tropical Homestead, they make this gorgeous soda. It's like a ginger bug soda. I have tried so many times. I about blew up my house the one time trying to do ginger bug. I was like, look, guys, ginger bug is active after day like 2. I popped the top. I was like, the bottom blew off of my jar, guys. No joke. I was like, Sharia's got this down, because I had ginger everywhere. It was nasty. I was like, I don't know how Cherie does it, because she lives in like the muggy Georgia like temps.
She's amazing.
And she's South Georgia, the muggier and the
she's in the hot country.
She's in the swampy areas of the heat. But that's the thing. If you find ways, build your skills, you're going to beat those types of price increases. There's things that might be coming at people and hitting them hard. And even if you don't live on a homestead, even if you're living in an apartment, you're living in a city, you're living in town somewhere, it doesn't matter. You can still skill build. You can do all these things. Well, thank you so much hanging out in the
Thank
Angel Garden. That's so
you,
sweet.
Angel family. Love you. Thank
Wow,
you.
that's so
She
sweet.
calls everybody, hey, fam. Tell Boo Boo we said how do.
Oh my goodness.
That's so sweet.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that
Dawn
was-
had another great idea that we had discussed, I believe, on the podcast about I donate unwanted items to the Goodwill and then sometimes find a good deal on something there as well. So, there's nothing wrong with secondhand. And oftentimes when we go in there, they'll still have the price tag on stuff. I know I've donated things that have still had the price tag
Yep.
on stuff. So Ann Philbeck says, I save so much just making kombucha. And I think that's wonderful. We want to hear your input and the
Yeah.
things that you have to say about stuff. And what we're trying to do is to help all of our minds. Hey, Deanna, have all of our minds
Mhm.
calm down, take a step back for a second, and realize that there are ways around it and able to stay calm.
Mhm.
And
we've
we
got
can-
lots of episodes on it. We've got episodes that go way back, and we've got episodes coming out. All of them can help you find new ways to beat the tariffs and beat those things that might be maybe getting a little nervous about the things that are coming your way. You don't have to be nervous. You don't have to be scared. You just be prepared. And we've got lots of episodes to help you out with that.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
very Dr. Seuss of you. That was good. I
Thank
liked
you.
that one. Don't be scared. Be prepared. Mhm.
It's been just about our time. What do you think?
I
It's
think
been
so.
almost 33 minutes on our lives. We try to stick to the 30-minute time. And we certainly do appreciate all of you coming in. I feel like I've just chatted quite a way tonight, but having peace of mind in the unknown, I think that's where the panic is coming from, is being concerned of the unknown of, oh my gosh, I'm just now making enough that I can pay the electric bill. How will I pay an extra $5 for an apple? You don't necessarily have to. Find somebody that has an apple tree, give them a couple of jars of something that you have, or maybe sell them something or make them something, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We certainly appreciate you being in Hey Y'all Hey Radio Show. And we'll be back on Monday with our podcast in all of podcast land. And if you'd like to see our faces, be sure and check out Round the Hay Bale, because we are live on not live, but you do see our faces on Round the Hay Bale on Mondays, and then live on all of our channels on Tuesday nights. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
All right, there we go.
Hey, Monica, did you know it's now even easier to listen to Round the Hay Bale podcast?
What? Really? How easy?
That's right. All you have to do is say, Alexa, play Round the Hay Bale podcast.
Playing Round the Hay Bale podcast on Apple Music.
Ooh, we're really fancy now.
Tune in to Round the Hay Bale every Monday at 9 a.m. Central Time.